Hi everyone, it's Kelly here. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time visiting. Welcome back if you've been before. Lovely to have you either way. On this channel we talk books, and today I am filming a wrap up for the month of July. I cannot believe that we're already partway through August. I'm recording this literally the day before I'm planning on posting it, so I've got a lot of editing to do tonight. But this month is already getting away from me. I haven't finished a single book in August, so it's going to be a bit of a slog to get at least something for you for next month. But let's not worry about that for now. Let's think about the month that's been. And this is July. So we are talking about 5 books that I finished in the month of July, and I would love to share them with you now. The first book that I finished was a book that I have read before and have rated 5 stars. I'm sort of have this vague plan in the back of my head that I'm going to be rereading all of my 5-star books at some point to be able to determine whether I still think they're a 5-star book. This one fared well. So it is this book here, which is called Paddy Smith, 1969 to 1976, photographs by Judy, Linn. The call number for this book is 782.42166092. Very, very specific call number. This is a book that does not contain a whole lot of writing, so it didn't take me too long to read. I very much enjoyed this book. It is a photographic, I guess you could say, trip down memory lane for Judy Linn, who was good friends with Paddy Smith. I believe they lived in the same apartment block or something like that. And that's sort of how they met each other and then became good friends. There's also Robert Mapplethorpe's in here as well. So yeah, there's all the people that you would expect to be in here are in here. And it is just such a such a time and place, I guess you could say. So if you're a Paddy Smith fan, this is definitely one for you. The essays in here are really good as well. So there's one from Judy Linn, and then there's one from Paddy Smith, and both of those are excellent. So highly recommend if you haven't seen this one before and you are a Paddy Smith fan. Okay. The next book that I read was a poetry book, and it is an open book by David Malouf. I'm reading through some poetry books at the moment for a video that I'm doing when I finish the books. So I will have more in-depth thoughts to share about this book on that video when it comes. I've already filmed the section about this book, so I won't go into too much detail here. Just to say, I really enjoyed this poetry collection. It was surprisingly relatable. I thought it was going to be something that was hard for me to relate to just because of the, I guess, life and age and gender difference between myself and the author. Not that you can't connect with people of who are different to you, but I thought it might be challenging for me. It wasn't. It was really, really interesting. So I have tabbed lots of the poems in this book because I like them so much. So hopefully that gives you an indication of how well I got along with this poetry collection. One of the things I really appreciated about it was having the really precise language that David Malouf uses. It was really interesting and poetic, surprise, surprise. Some of the line breaks I felt were a little bit arbitrary in the poems rather than deliberate. But other than that, this was excellent. So I gave it 4 stars. It was a really, really good poetry collection, and I recommend. The next book that I read was a novel, and it is The Bookbinder of Jericho by Pip Williams. This is the sequel, or sort of it's described as a companion novel to the Dictionary of Lost Words, which is a book that I read a year or two ago and loved. It's a 5-star book for me. This didn't quite live up to that book, The Dictionary of Lost Words, but it was still really, really good. I thought the characters were really well developed. It was an engaging, well-researched, niche world that was built around being a bindery girl. So basically it's set in Oxford, in the bindery where the books for the Oxford Press are are made and put together, and we follow a character who is a bindery girl at a time where there weren't that many jobs for women, I guess, and sort of heading into a world war, it sort of things kind of shifted. So we're kind of like looking at the way the world shifted for those who were still at home. And also there was a very satisfying character arc, I felt, story arc for the book. There were a few suspend disbelief moments. For example, modern thinking applied to a character not living in a modern world. The way that she thought about particular things, I thought was more a reflection of the way people think now than how they thought back then, for example. But otherwise, this was really, really well done and very enjoyable. So I would recommend, if you enjoyed the Dictionary of Lost Words, then you will most likely enjoy this one as well. Maybe not quite as much, but it's set in the same world. So it's definitely worth looking up if that was your something that you enjoyed as well. All right, the next one that I read was a sci-fi classic that I have been meaning to read for a very, very long time, and that is The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. I found this one a little bit difficult to follow, I will say. The first third of this book made me want to DNF it, but I persisted with it. The final third, where they go on a journey, that's sort of the main character and a character that we meet early on in the book, go on a journey together, and that bit was probably the most interesting bit of the whole book, because we're focusing on their relationship and kind of getting to know them as characters better. That part of the book was the most interesting to me. So I'm glad that I persisted with it because of that bit, but really it took a long time for me to get to the point where I could even really follow what was going on in the book and, sort of engage with what the author was trying to get across. So, 3.25 stars for me. It was okay, but not my favourite read of the month, as you will have seen. All right, the last book that I read in the month of July was Cold Enough for Snow by Jessica Au, I'm not really sure how to pronounce her surname. This was definitely a vibes book as opposed to a plot book, or even really a character book, I would say. So it was definitely a vibes book, if you know what I mean. So we have a young woman and her mother who go on a trip to Japan, but that's the whole plot, is basically them going to Japan and then kind of flashbacks, I guess, of the young woman kind of thinking about her life and her relationship with her mother. So it's kind of more about that, more about the reflections of the daughter, and also her evolving concept of her mother that sort of changes as they are traveling in Japan. So yeah, it was okay. I enjoyed it. I gave it 3.75 stars, but it wasn't my favorite read of the month. Same as the previous. I've had some really good books this month. Nothing below a 3, which is great. But yeah, this one was just okay, I guess. All right, so that is my July. I had those 5 books. As I said, it was a pretty decent reading month for me in terms of the quality of the books that I read. And yeah, I'm pleased. I'm pleased that I managed to get through 5 books. I was hoping to get through a few more because I did have a little trip as part of July. Usually I get a little bit more reading done on those trips, but I was unwell, so I really didn't have the capacity to engage with books so much. So audiobooks were my friend, and also short books were my friend. So I was glad for that, to be able to have that little break away and to get a little bit of reading done, even though I wasn't feeling super well. Anyway, fingers crossed that we can get some momentum happening for August, because so far, not so good. I haven't finished a single book. I have been reading, but just sort of in little snippets. So I'm hoping that I can get a little bit more done over the next little bit so that I have something to share with you at the end of August. But if not, that's okay. These things happen. So yeah, We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books and your opinion aligns or doesn't align with mine, if you've got some thoughts to share on any of those titles, or if you want to share what you've been reading. I'd love to hear about that too. If you've got recommendations, I always love to hear them. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.